wherever you might be. My name is Sean. I'm delighted you're joining for today's ESPC community webinar. Today I'm joined by Adnan Amin, MVP, who will cover building a secure and compliant SharePoint online environment. We love hearing guys have to say, so remember to join the conversation about today's webinar and more on X. Our handle is at ESPC underscore community and our hashtag is hashtag ESPC25. Tweet us, tag us, and tell us what you learned. Don't forget to check out our Learning Hub, which is updated the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. You can access and view the Learning Hub by visiting our website, sharepointeurope.com, and clicking Content tab at the top. Don't let the learning stop here. Continue to keep up and stay ahead by joining us for our next webinar, Building Beautiful SharePoint Pages, Leveraging Flexible Layouts with SPFX Solutions, with João Ferreira, MVP. This place, this webinar will take place this evening, Wednesday, 22nd October at 2 p.m. CEST. For more information on this webinar, please check out www.sharepointeurope.com/register for webinars. Celebrate SharePoint Week with an exclusive ESPC offer. In honor of SharePoint Week, we're thrilled to unveil a special limited time promotion for ESPC. The first 10 new bookings will receive an extra €500 discount on top of the current late bird ticket price. Simply use the code SharePoint Week Special at checkout. This exclusive offer is our way of celebrating the SharePoint community's continued innovation, collaboration, and impact across the Microsoft ecosystem. Don't miss out. This promotion is valid for only new bookings made before October 31st or until all 10 discounted places are claimed. Secure your spot today and be part of Europe's premier Microsoft 365 AI and Azure conference taking place in Dublin this December. After the webinar, we'll have a questions and answer session. Type any questions you might have into the chat box. Questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Center, where you will be notified by email when it is available. And now, I'm going to pass you over to today's webinar presenter, Adnan. Hello, Adnan. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Sam, and thanks for having me here. This seems to be an amazing week with the SharePoint, and looking forward to this session. I'm sharing my screen now. Let me know if you can see my
coming
screen.
Up now.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I can see your screen perfectly. Thank you.
Okay. So today we are going to discuss about securing and governing SharePoint online environments. How securely you can share content with SharePoint, and with the copilots, this become a need. This was a need before also, but now this become a need. I have been vocal about this topic for past couple of years, and in past 2 years, with the copilot, the things got changed, and everyone is looking for these governance in the security and compliance section. So my name is Adnan Amin, and I just a second. Let me open the slide here. So my name is Adnan Amin, and I am a Microsoft certified trainer. Just a second. Okay, now. So I have having over 20 years of experience of working on Microsoft technologies, and have been working on SharePoint since 2008 from the most 2007 days. And did a lot, many migrations, and I'm working on SharePoint since the days when the permissions were like edit, view, contribute, like those permissions, and also anonymous for internet users. And I am a Microsoft MVP since 2010 on SharePoint, for then on Microsoft 365, and now on Copilot and SharePoint. working as a senior consultant in Olive and Goose for past 5 years, and mostly working with the US-based customers now. And I have experience of working in different regions like Middle East, Europe, and also in US. And Microsoft certified. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer since 2009, and I love participating in events like these, and also on blog at mstechtalk.com and speak at community forums. You can reach out to me on X, on Facebook, or on LinkedIn also. And I also listed the URL of my blog where I occasionally blog. And I just want to share before I jump in that how I started vlogging. I wanted to because we do so many things day to day, and I missed out something which I already done. So I do blog for myself to keep the topics where I already work to be available for me for the future. If in future I need to do any of those works. So let's jump into the agenda. What we are going to discuss today. We will be discussing about the importance of security and compliance in collaboration today, and we will examine that how Microsoft 365 security framework provides give help on this one. We will discuss about the key security and compliance capabilities in SharePoint Online, and discuss a little a few real world scenarios, the challenges for implementing security and compliance or governance in content security, and what would be the best practices, and a few demos, small demos that how to manage security in SharePoint or in the to the sensitivity levels. You might already have experience with SharePoint, and many of you already know how to secure, how to make things happen. So we will be looking at, maybe I learned something from your questions today, or you might be learning some thing from me from a different perspective as I work with different, how we learn with the when we interact with customers, their production ready data, and we found different scenarios on basis of that we able to learn that what need to be taken, what need to be considered in the future assignments. So let's if we discuss about why security and compliance matter today. In today's date, your SharePoint is no longer just a document library. It is. I'm right. In past, in 2000 earlier days of SharePoint, it was a document library holding documents and just used for sharing content. Now it is the brain of your organization, I would say, you because it have all your data, and you know that how it could have critical data, your information, legal data, HR, financial data, everything is stored in SharePoint. And and it's growing a lot. I don't have the states here, but if you check recent state from Microsoft, you will get that how much data daily upload to SharePoint. And when we discover cloud growth, the risk also increases. And how those risks comes up, how you are sharing, how you are viewing your content, and the compliance. I remember there when we apply multi-layer security and things, we call it good to have. It's good to have these options, but it's not necessary. But now, no more. Good to have. It's requirement to secure your content. Security, as I highlighted here, is crystal plus, and compliance is continuity. How you are going to access your data and how you are going to make it readable. I just copied this image from the Microsoft Learn, and it's clearly explained that least privilege permissions assign only necessary permissions to the users. Now, here a real world scenario. Whenever I do a SharePoint migration from on-premise or tenant to tenant migration, what I do first thing, I run the permissions report for a document library, for a site, or for the tenant. And you would not believe there are tools available like ShareGate. You can even use their trial if you don't have the license version, or you can have, there's a list set of permission PowerShell scripts are available. where you can get the permission matrix for a site or a document library. Just execute that and you will understand what I want to say. People share content, giving permission. People, you might have seen the queries that a user can see the document, he have the full rights, and but he can't see the other user with the same rights in the same security group can't see those documents. And whenever it's how and that is one thing. And the first one, that when assigning permissions, we share with everyone or everyone with external user. Even I have seen the practice that contribute access given to everyone or everyone with the except external users. What happens? Everything is shared with all the users, and when organizations go for the readiness for Copilot, they come to know that there is information shared which should not be shared with the users. And this was all. Copilot is not doing anything wrong. It just fetching the information with the content shared to that specific user with graph APIs. If even if you go with on the SharePoint search, you have that all that content available. So you need to make sure that how you are sharing the content. You need to modify the content sharing settings, which we will look today, and also how you want to protect your information, how it could be accessed from either only from the managed devices. There could be some information which can be accessed from unmanaged devices. Managed devices are those which are registered to your Active Directory as your Intra ID, or if there are guest users, you can apply conditional access policies that how they will access those informations. So now here, what I have done, I have created just for this slide, this session, I marked it as there are core pillars of SharePoint security. You can also call them, these are four layers on your documents, that how your document can be secured. We will check each one by one, and how it can be accessed, how it can be protected, how you apply uh, sensitivity labels on those, and DLP policies, how it could be shared. These are different ways, and how, as an end user, what is my responsibility on this data? Because I'm the, even if you have applied everything, the last one is very important, because you need to make sure that user awareness is important, that how user is going to share their data. Why? If I have a full control or contribute access, I can share the content within external users which is available, but I don't want, I need to make sure that I have applied the exact sensitivity label on that document, or what level of sharing I am doing on the content, and running reports and all those stuff we will be looking. So identity access, if we talk about SharePoint Online, all Microsoft Intra ID, we are using Microsoft Intra ID for authentication, and make sure that if you are sharing content with external users, it should be authorized, or you add some sharing link restrictions on that one for like if it's anonymous access, how long it will be accessible, applying different settings which are available on the admin center, applying conditional access policies which you can configure to Azure AD or also on SharePoint, or to retention policy to the sensitivity labels, that if a document can be accessed or not accessible from a unmanaged device. And enforced multi-factor authentication is already enforced, but if you are using on-premise version of SharePoint, then you need to make sure about it. And the role-based permissions are very important, that how you are assigning permissions to the users, and make sure that uh, how they are going to, if assign them the permissions which they need, not giving, if the user is unable to view the documents due to some reason with view access, you just give them full control, or contribute permissions so that they can get the access, or giving pushing them to other groups, security groups. And I have seen this example on so many groups that user is not getting access, just add the user to that specific security group, now user have the access. But this gives extra power or extra rights to the user also. Now, if we talk about the data protection with Microsoft Purview, Purview is the real magic, is the place where real magic happens. Labels, DLP policies, retention policies may or encryption make your files secure to access from anywhere outside SharePoint. So these are very important. Like you, if you apply sensitive labels on documents, secure documents, so only you can limit them to a specific set of users who can access the file or manage devices. Then information rights protection will apply. Okay, one thing before I move forward, when we come with the security, you might have seen when we go to any building, if there is a security check post, security checks like airports, it create hurdles. It take times for you to reach to the next stop where you want to go. But why those are required? Just to protect you. So similarly, if we are applying these informations, it might slow down a little for accessing content for you, but it is for the sensitivity or protectivity of the content. So these are the challenge of with the governance also, which we'll discuss. So when we discuss about governance, it's not about restrictions, which I discuss. Uh, it's about the visibility and control for the SharePoint admins, and also for the for the admins, that how the content is shared, how who viewed the content, if there are any weak permissions, they can resolve those. If there is a user who is not applying the labels properly, then you need to make sure that if the content data is sensitive, then sensitivity labels should be applied on those. And if your governance is weak, what would happen? Lack of visibility for admins, and you might miss some sensitive information to the users where you don't want to share. I want to share a real example on this one here. I work for a Fortune 500 finance company a few years back, and they have sharing data, some important restricted data, where we what this that was before when we had these options available for applying sensitive labels and stuff. So we created a separate SharePoint site for them, and applied all sort of restrictions, and only 6 people have access to those data. And still we are running weekly reports who view the files. And if you remember, those there were reports available in SharePoint site collection at that time, and those are very limited. So now we have reporting available through the purview under audits, and also on the SharePoint Admin Center. You can run a couple of checks or a couple of reports based on these policies you have applied on the content. Now, common security challenges. I was discussing earlier that these are the real world problems. If you are working on SharePoint or working in an organization, you must have seen this: oversharing of links, creating multiple links for the same document, creating link with edit access when you are only going to share the document for view, just going with the default options, not making any changes on the permissions. Weak permission management, the thing which I shared with you, that if you just run the security permission report on your content today, you will get away on this one. If you have ShareGate license, just run the security metrics report on your document library or most used document library. You will get what I am going to say. There are 3 security groups in each site. whom and access data is more permissions are given, but you will sign in the break inheritance on too much content because of the way we share the content. Why? That make Microsoft make it very easy to share the content, but you need to understand that how to share the content. If you're sharing within the team, you need to make sure to select the right option to share the content. No labeling consistency, even if it is applied, or if you applied auto labeling on the content, that is something also which I think might not require on some of the content, but it's still applied there. And you cannot mark every document confidential. You cannot mark watermarking every document or encrypt all the documents. So you need to be careful on those, and that's make it lack of visibility for the admins, because sometimes document viewed by some user or external anonymous user, and you don't have clue who accessed that document, how to view those reports. So let's see that what we have on the external sharing. I'm going to share my demo site here. This is my SharePoint admin center, and mm, I go to the home here. So there are a couple of sharing settings which I'm going to discuss. That for SharePoint Admin Center, you should have SharePoint Admin Access, or Global Admin Access can also access the SharePoint site. There are three layers of security. I would say I am calling it three layers of security. First one, at the admin level, where you can set up the default permission settings for the site, like how the content could be shared at the top level. Then the site collection level, how the content should be organized in the site collection. And the third one, within the sites, how you are organizing your content and setting up sharing settings. So first one, if you open the site, this is a new site, you will see it allows anyone to be shared, which is not required for all in most of the scenarios. Yes, this is a requirement almost for everyone, that it can be content can be shared outside the organizations, with vendors, with customers, or with partners. So this must be enabled. And sharing this is something for existing guests. I would not suggest to go for this one, because if you are allowing guests, then go for this option. This will only restrict that users with the existing permission, and this is for the highly secure site. But setting up this at tenant level, I would not recommend if you are sharing content with the partners also. So setting up this one, and the OneDrive is also basically SharePoint site collection at the end. It have document library for holding documents. The structure is bit different, but whatever discussion topic discussed, I discussed today, or whatever details so far, that also applies data stored in OneDrive or data stored in Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams also store data at the back end. I remember the discussions going on social media platforms for past, I think, 10 years, that SharePoint is dead now. Whenever things come up, SharePoint is dead now. Teams is here, SharePoint is dead. And now SharePoint, whenever I hear Jeff Draper, who will be one of the keynote speaker for European SharePoint, he always says that SharePoint is coming back more stronger and more powerful. So OneDrive sharing is dependent on SharePoint here. And now here are the key. There are a couple of areas which need to look and understand. External sharing. You will see it's showing the option to limit external sharing by domain, where you can add the domains of the users. You can also restrict external sharing by giving domains, that which domains are not allowed. And Also allow users with specific security groups to share. You can create security groups and add users to those security groups where you can apply some conditional access policies. Also allow users to have sharing links. This is the default which is selected. I'm not making any changes here so far. And guest access. So now whenever you share the link, make sure that the link do not stays forever. And this happens in many organizations, that the links which are shared a couple of years back is still active. Also, you can run PowerShell scripts. There are reports available for generating the sharing link details. And also, people who have verification code, how many days link that code would be available for them. These are the some external sharing settings, and for anyone or whatever the situation is there. And these are also few settings. Choose the type of link selected by the default in SharePoint. These are now the thing which I was discussing, that when you share the content, what would be the default setting? We just share with the people in organ, go with the default settings whatever written. Sometimes it break the inheritance of the folder or file. And what happens that when the inheritance is break and you give, normally what happens, I will show you also, that people give access to the user. Sometimes users directly on the document library, or create a new security group after some time for specific permissions. And due to break inheritance, user do not get access to those files. And you cannot set the option by creating the group that it will have access to all the files and folders with unique permissions, because you set up for some folders or files with unique permissions also. Anyone with the link, or that will break the inheritance. So this would be should be the default one. Anyone within your organization, but you can change it. And what would be the default behavior of the sharing link? By default it's set up to edit, and I would recommend to go for view instead of edit, because whenever you share the link, you just copy the link and share it. So when it gives edit, it gives the edit permission, either those are the guest users or the user in your organization also, where you only want to share the files. And a few more things, like the links to expire with how many days the link should expire. And view, the links can give these permissions. Same on view and edit permissions are for folders and also for the files. These are few more settings if you can see. And if you go to the sharing settings, you can see that these are very much descriptive. You can just read them and you can define them accordingly. Now these are settings at the SharePoint admin level. And also you can set up the access control at the SharePoint level. Also can create policies at your in Azure, or you can also manage this with the sensitivity levels, that how the content will be accessed. Either the file shared on the SharePoint can be accessed from any device. Like if I am, my laptop, my machine is not, or my phone is not registered with my organization, but I still want to view the documents. If my company haven't provided me a cell phone, then it will be I'm not going to register that to my company's id. So but still I want to access the files. I am an organization user. So how those access control can be managed, you can define here. You can define them on intra id, or you can manage that on the manage it on sensitivity levels. So these are different options. Just go and explore them, with how access control works and things are working, for that how your content can be accessed on SharePoint. Now I will go to one of the site here. These are all the active sites here. And like if I go to any the one of the site here and click on benefits, you can directly go from sharing. You will see the membership of these are the security groups, admin users for the site here, and you can also modify these security group members from the SharePoint, so within the SharePoint site also. If I go to settings, you will see the external sharing file sharing setup here. I will go. You will have the option new, mm, everyone, and all these options are available. Why anyone showing up? Because I haven't modified that. So now you can set up things at the admin level and also at the site collection level. So I will go on to make some more changes here. Want to some detailed review. So I want to go with the new, and I don't want to go with the default sharing settings here. I want to share this with specific people or people with the existing guest access, whatever I would like here. And because I selected the new and existing guest here, so the default option but for anyone is disabled for me here. And similarly goes for the mm, default sharing settings. So there could be sites which are shared with vendors and customers or partners. You can set at the site level to be view. You don't want to mess or modify the share admin level section settings. And I'm not making any settings here. And now this is about how the settings are shared. I will also request when we are here on the SharePoint Admin Center, there are also reports that how the content is shared and how just for the admins to review those. So this could be different for you on your environment because this is a new tenant and I don't have any specific licenses on one. So that's why it only giving me two options here. On the reports, you will see data access and governance. It will show you the report for the sharing links. Whatever the shared links are here, you will see the reports and status of those links. That if it is shared with anyone, what is the status now? And also, if we go back, if you have sensitivity level applies on the files, it will show the report of sensitivity levels applied on those files and what how those files are accessed. Same go for OneDrive accounts. Now, if I take you to and one more thing, if you want to check how many guest users you have or your organization, I will just you can also check that using with the PowerShell simple command on PowerShell. Let me. I just have on my demo tenant. I don't have the subscription Azure subscription, so I just access my personal accounts as a subscription. And let me check. I'm copying a PowerShell commandlet here. Connect. This is
Admin, just there's one question in there, if that's all right.
okay. Let me check there.
Um, it's just, is this for SharePoint admin webinar? Most common users don't have access to admin.sharepoint.com and can't change anything here.
Okay, yeah, let me explain this. So the things which I mentioned earlier, because I am discussing about the security of the content, how you manage this content. So this is for admins also. The things which I shared so now is at the admin center, who will apply the policies, who will implement the policies on the SharePoint sites. I will just show you a few more things, and then I will jump into the SharePoint site and where what is available for the end users or the site admin, not the SharePoint admin, the site admin or the site contributor, how they are going to share the content. I will be discussing that shortly. And now it's connected to the Azure AD. And just let me copy the command. I'm just I just running a command to access the guest users on this Azure subscription. So it will list, because right now this is my personal tenant. It do not have so many guests, but you will see that it is going to register the name of the users and their principal name. That how those are added on your Azure AD. You can go to Azure AD and the users. You can see those that list also, but from here you can also see that list. That this is single command. Get Azure AD users were filtered by user as guest, and just sharing a few parameters here. And this is the command. I'm running the command directly from the Azure Cloud Share here. You can see the URL here. I'm also sharing the URL on the chat so that you can also test it. Let me copy the commands also so that you can also verify this. Actually, so many windows opened on my screen. Okay, so now we have seen that how the sharing and permission settings are managed at the site collection level, and the thing which I have shown, just to continue that question. So the thing which I mentioned regarding the site permissions here, individual sites for the sharing settings, these are only available to the shared admin center, not from the end user. But if I take you to the any of the, let me check any of the HR. Let me go to the HR site. I am now on a SharePoint site. There are ways to go for the permissions. You can see the site permissions showing up here, and you can add and manage user directly from the same security groups here. But if you talk to someone with all like we call it the classic way of managing permissions, go to the advanced settings, and you will see that how the settings are managed. You can see change members can share. Okay, this is I haven't seen that. Let me verify that also. So here are the security groups showing up here, and whatever the group, you can create more groups, assign permissions to them. You might have seen those before. That these are the default security levels of the SharePoint site. But now, if I go back to the file sharing, let me go to the site content. In document library. So how the security works, which I mentioned, that site level security, then there's a document level security. Under documents, there are folders which have the same security permissions, can inherit from the top or can have their own unique permissions. Then files could have also unique permissions. Files and folders can be shared with external users, and you can also add guest users at the document library or at the site level. You might have seen on Microsoft Teams, you can add your vendors, partners, or customers. So all those get uh, contribute access or members access. I would use the right word, that on the on the teams, which make them that the folder shared with them on the channels, that they can modify a document. They can share almost the same permissions which you have for making changes on the content. but they will be accessing as a member. So what happens here, when I go to any of the file and I just share the link, I will just share it or click on the copy link. It asking me to enter the name of the user. I will go there, and this is something which you, if you are a site admin or SharePoint admin or a user, you need to tell your users that how to share the content, can edit, can view, can't download, how you want to set up that link for sharing. And these are settings which we were discussing, how to be set up at the SharePoint admin level. So I can just set it, can view, and also to whom this link is by default shared. You can just copy the link here and it will only be shared with the user within your organization. What happens in Teams or in some other settings, that I created a file and I'm just sharing this with my teammates to understand that what are the changes, so they can go to the file and make further changes on that one, like sharing a drop the team members. So when I make there's an option for the existing permissions also, and the people in an MSFT within this domain, or with users with the existing permissions, or you can also set up with anyone here. So these two options will break the inheritance of the file. And what will happen when inheritance of the file is broken? If you in future you add a new security group or a new user on that folder, on that document library, that user will not get access to those folders. And when you run the report, you will see the permissions are messed up. Like I will just add people. uh, I'm just adding an external user here. You can share within your, okay, this is, I think this might be the default settings for the site. Let me go and change this. Anyone new and existing guest. Just about live demos, what happens, certain things could happen on the live demos also. No, I'm just sharing. I have given added this permission and share outside the organization. I have also applied some sensitivity label on this one. I'm just sharing this one and send it. So my other account will get the email address and things. Now if I go to the access of this file, manage access, how these are different ways to verify the permission on this one. And I will go for the advanced settings. So you will see the actual access control for the site. Here you will see it's showing that there's a managed link. The document has unique permissions, and it is not. It's about the document, and it's not managing the inheriting the permissions anymore from the top level. Now, any member added to these groups will get the permissions, but any other group will not get the permissions. How we verify this thing? I will go back. Now I will go. This is the document library. Let me just give a detailed review on this one. I will go to the library settings here, or advanced settings. And this is a very old way of working with SharePoint. But today, when I interact with the new users, they found it very hard sometimes that how these type of permissions. This is the old way how we manage the permissions. Now I will go for the permissions for this library. You will notice that it's showing me that there are some items with unique permissions on this document library. When I click on, I will ask you to go any shared document library, you will see a long list of files under this. And this now I only have one folder. There could be many folders showing up unique permissions. There could be files within those folders showing unique permissions. And I face so much issues with that user are not unable to get the access to those files. And what happens if by mistake I know that this is the right way of sharing the file? I I do not know that. I just want to make sure I just delete the default inheritance. What it will do? It will remove. It will set the permission back to the normal, but this will also remove that the unique link which I created for which was created for me for that external guest account. So you need to be very careful while sharing and how to manage the permission at the site level. And I hope this that also answered the question that how to manage permissions. Now I will just jump into the rest of the topics. I thought that I still have time here. Now, if we talk about the sensitivity labels, they are came with in Microsoft 365 for some time now. The things are changed. They were under the compliance, then security and compliance, and now under purview. And these can be applied to sites, groups, teams, emails also. And there could be also DLP policies which you can apply. And with the help of the sensitivity labels, you can set up your files more secure, and you can make them how encrypt. You can apply watermark on those, and you can restrict the secure files, highly secure files on unmanaged devices. And one more thing that you can also uh, apply auto labeling on the files with secure content. You can just search that the files having the NPI data, or I would simple what I would say credit card information or any legal information or financial details or any HR related documents. Would apply any keywords, and that will apply those sensitivity labels on all the files on your tenant within OneDrive and also on the SharePoint. So now let's jump into this, how this could be applied. So you need to go to the Microsoft Purview here, and this will open the Microsoft Purview. And on Microsoft Purview, if you go to the home, you will see the information. It might not be showing on your left navigation, and the navigation is getting changed with time. On the information protection, you will see the option to create sensitivity labels. Whenever you create a sensitivity label, it take up to 24 hours to apply. And like I have created these two yesterday, it's showing up the time, and the confidential HR and the test one, just to verify what was happened, because this is a new tenant. And you will see an interface like this. Let me show here. This is a different tenant here. So if you haven't applied this, you might face this issue that when you create the tenant in here, it will not allow you to create the sensitivity label on SharePoint sites and documents. Hmm. Yes, this option is disabled here for me. You can see here groups and sites. The files are available, group and sites are not listed here. You need to go to the complete site here, link this one. And this is important because you might not find this in the similar way, and there are some recent updates. You can see the document was published, updated on 10th October. Because when I was looking to update this, some of the information was not available. Some old way of fetching this to Azure AD Connect was not working anymore. So you need to have at least some of the permissions which are required are I already have created this fetch information that you should have the information protection admin permissions, or just follow this link I'm sharing on the chat for learning more about these details, because we are just out of time. Actually, I just looked at the question for sharing. So share with existing permissions will be the or with the company URL permissions will be the best way. Yes, you when we talk about the governance and sharing, you need to make sure that you need to make sure that how you are going to share the document. You should have the right security groups configured on the SharePoint site, and just assign permission to security groups, not through the individual users. In this way, if the permissions are break, at least users are getting the right way of permissions. But giving individual users permissions will break the inheritance permissions at the top level. And so you need to be careful about that. And assigning permission to those document libraries would be the best way. So I just share this link. Uh, Yeah, just take a look to that what permissions are required on the information rights protection. And here, to enable for the SharePoint sites and things, you need to go to this under how to enable sensitive labels for containers and synchronized labels. You need to go to this link, and on this one you follow the steps to install Microsoft Graph Beta, and then run these two. But because your tenant is new, or you haven't applied enabled information sensitive labels before, you might get error here, and it will not generate any value here. If it's running blank value, you cannot apply the enable mtpl labels here. This property, this will return errors to you. So you need to go to this link also, and from here you need to install. You already have installed Microsoft Graph Beta, so you need to get this information, run this PowerShell, and it will return a couple of APIs here. And these, just follow the steps on this one. This will create that I would say, just follow the links here, and this will create the template for the enable MIPL label, MIP labels for you. Then this link will be enabled for you. This, let me go back. Sorry for the so many windows are opened, and because this is such a catchy topic here. And I have created, when you create a label here, just quickly show you. Label applying take up to 24 hours. So I've selected by default, all options are selected here. And here you can apply access control. You can apply control content marking. Just want to show you some of the options here. Remove access control, or how you want to set up the permissions. Who will have the access on? You can apply add access group, that who will have the access here. Dynamic bottom marking you want to apply, that it will add the bottom marking on the documents. I'm not making any changes on this page here. I just need to assign which option is. I will just save to the organization. And if I'm making the content marking, I will just select this one, customize text. I can add any text here, and how it will be shown what would be the font size and the color of the text. I will show you the example shortly because we have a few minutes left. Hmm. I'm just not marking it so we can move. Enable on files. How, what will the conditions here? How this will be auto labeling, that you can set up the conditions here, that if file contains default value, we can set up few values and it will automatically apply the labeling on all the files based on the secure information. If you want to apply labels based on the content available on the files, and similarly for the privacy for the external users, I think I missed a step here for the setting up secure content. Because it will that will show that how the content will be shared for the users. Content. Let's that will be just don't want to take too much time on this one. What it will show, that will there will be an option, because things a bit changed when last time I access, that then you will get the options to set up that who can access for the guest users, that who can, how they can access the files. They can only access from the browser file, they can only access file from the browser, they can only access the file from desktop devices, only from the managed devices, or you don't want to allow them to access the file, confidential file, to be accessed from unmanaged device. So let me quickly jump here. You will create a sensitive label, then create a policy to deploy them. And like this, these are the earlier when I was playing with the sensitive labels. Sensitive label, there were only one way, that you will create a sensitive label and publish them. They were not, policies were not separate. And like this test have only a basic settings are set up on this one, and this will apply on the sites and also at the file level. So if I go to any of the site here, like HR here, I have, you can see here, it's showing me the test sensitivity label. Sorry for the name, but my other labels are not working because those are not enabled yet. So I can only test this one. If I apply this one, if the site is enabled here, open, is it the same site? Yeah. So now you can see here, if I just let me refresh this one. So you can see there, this is a simple plain site. I just saved the, now I'm just saving the information. Now I will, once I save information, it's showing me the test set level on this site. And what will happen, all the documents will have by default test content type. I already have opened these. Once a label is applied on the document, I will click on the document here on the browser, and there is a watermark on that specific sensitive type. So you will see the update directly on real time here. So you can see here, there's nothing is shown on the sensitivity here, and you will just see some of this. The file is loading. You can see this icon shown up here, and it will turn blue, and it will also add the watermark shortly here. You can see the updates happening up here, and a watermark is added here at the European SharePoint. And you will, if I click on the sensitivity label here, it shows me the existing default sensitivity labels and my one. You can set the color when you are creating the sensitivity labels. This was not available before, but recently it's available now and looks good on the documents here. You might have seen these icons on your files also. And so if I go to the document library again, and modify the view. There's a default column available for the sensitivity labels. Like, oh, not going to the library settings. I will just modify the current view. And meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can post them because we are almost on time here. Here you will see the labels are available for the retention and also for the sensitivity here. I will just select this one and press it OK. And this will show the label applied to the document. I can change the labels also, but this is how it will be working on the document. And then whatever the policy defined on the sensitivity label, it will be applied on a document. And when you open a document, it will show. You might have seen that while loading a document, it shows the text that information right protection policies apply, and then it that open the files. That means that how the policies are configured on the document. So these are the best practices, I would say. Review the permissions quarterly, educate your users how to apply labels, how to share files, and try to automate everything instead of doing manually setups, and do run audit reports from the purview and also the manually reports from the SharePoint Admin Center. And you can reach out to me or follow me on MS Talk also. And if you have any further questions, I'm
Per-
happy to answer.
yeah, perfect. And then thanks for great presentation demos. So the question is, we manage permissions via Entra ID groups for enterprise level permissions. Is there a way to prevent these Entra ID groups from people picker? Idea is to prevent site owners from misusing the Entra ID groups.
I think those groups are accessible on SharePoint because right now I'm on the not on the intra-ID side, but I have on the SharePoint. If I talk to you about my experience on the on-premise SharePoint, there was those requirements that I have seen those AD groups, and those are available on the SharePoint also. That user are directly adding those AD groups. I think that would be available. One thing I we had a similar requirement, but we have used security groups within Microsoft 365 for managing permissions. That we have added all the users or like marketing people on that security group, added that security group because each security group have a group URL. So we added that group URL on the permissions on the group, and they all got the access. So I think that should be working. I haven't tested personally, but technically, this sound the same thing.
Perfect. Yes, looks like that's all the questions. So if people want to answer the poll, see how they got on. So on the behalf of the ESPC community, we'd like to extend a big thank you to you again for taking time out today to carry this webinar. Really appreciate it, Adnan. So
Thank you so
that's
much.
thank you. So that's the end of today's webinar. You can find this webinar and more at sharepointeurope.com/resource center. Thanks again for all of you for joining us today, and I hope you join us again soon. Take care.
Take care. Bye.